Coming to you from St. Charles and the neighboring state of Illinois, BRB Fancast with your host, AJ and Steve.
Dramatic intro for a dramatic game. We actually won with a clean sheet.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel? I know. I think it was June since our last clean sheet, and not only was it a clean sheet, but 3 goals. Like, holy moly, man.
That was our first 3 win of the season. The whole season. First time we won 3-0. And with this clean sheet, it gives, if they can manage to do a clean sheet the next game against Minnesota, it will tie Berkey's 8 clean sheets from last year as well. So, gives us a chance to kind of redeem ourselves a little bit.
Yeah, about that. You're still not in playoffs, so...
Not in the playoffs. However, this one we maybe discussed it, but, we will automatically finish higher than Kansas on the table this year. So it's just a moral victory, but it's better. That's something. And we definitely can't get the spoon. So we're just a non-playoff team at this point.
Hey, you know what? I know we keep saying this, but at least we have something to look forward to in, February, when we start, late February, something like that?
Yep.
March. So it's just a few months away. At least we have something to look forward to. Imagine with me, Steve. Imagine the team we had before the transfer window. If we had that team going into February, March, oof.
Man, we'd be packing up this podcast. Be like, never mind, we made a mistake. Go back.
Oh, man. But at least we're starting to see flashes of some awesomeness. Now, Simon Becher last night, holy moly. I thought he was just like a one-hit wonder. A few games, he kind of flashed something good, and then he kind of just tapered off. I thought he was just going to be our bench buddy, just kind of sitting on the bench the whole time. He started. He made the right moves. That one where he made that run, Hartle got the interception, and then did that kick, and you're like, there's no way he's onside. But the announcer was like, he's onside. I'm like, how? That guy read it well, and he did what he was supposed to. He went on that run, and guess what? It was 1v1 against the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to say it, in soccer, that's not a good prognosis for goalkeeper.
Oh no, we found it out plenty of times this year on the other side where our back line just kind of checks out, and it's one guy guarding this gigantic frame behind you, and the goalie's not going to win very often. But it worked out well. So your comment about the team at the beginning of the year, Justin Horniker on Twitter commented that St. Louis City has won 14 of 24 points since the MLS season resumed. They had to be perfect to make the playoffs, but a full season at this pace would equal to 59 points. Ooh. So this team moving into next season, that's kind of like our standard. So, that's a pretty phenomenal stat to look at. That's how much better we are from the beginning of the season.
So let's give some people some reference here. So 59 points, right? So as it stands right now, LA Galaxy has 64 points, and second place LAFC has 58 points, and Seattle and Salt Lake have 56. Just to kind of give people some ideas of teams and what we're looking at. So that would put us literally in second place. Wow. That's some pretty good pace. We were talking last week, it was last week, about this team and what we anticipated their standings to be. And we were kind of debating, are we looking at 5th, 6th, or are we looking at more 4th, 3rd place? I mean, what you're saying based on that calculations, we're on track for second place. If this was the beginning of the season. Holy moly.
And we still don't have Celio out there. That's phenomenal. Oof. So just to put it in perspective, last year was our barnstorming year. We had 56 points last year. So if this team can replicate this pace they're on now next season, we will finish higher than we did the last year, which we consider 2023 to be a phenomenally successful season. However, after the that first beginning. It really wasn't. It was a downhill trend since then. But like, this is what a lot of fans are kind of stuck on right now, is how last season was depending on compared to this season, and we're going to be even better. So I think it's great to kind of look at that stat and go, okay, let's really do get some perspective on all these new guys coming. I got my team poster from last year up there. I think I told my daughter, I looked, there's only like 11 guys left on that team. Like, and that's how much different this team is going to be next year.
I'm okay with this. You know, we've said this before, that what I care most about is the team doing well. And I know this is not going to happen, right? But if they said that they traded Berkey or released him or something like that, and that led us to winning, I would be like, okay, I'll take it every day. Like I love these players. I love what they're doing. Some of them have great personalities, but ultimately it's whatever makes the team better. Like Indy has a great personality. I think him and Klaus seem to be jokesters and stuff like that, and just fun guys. But I'm sorry, like Indy, you're a bench guy right now. When Celio comes back, Celio has to be out there. He was our best player before he got hurt. And then Alm, arguably and easily arguably a better player. I'm sorry, you just got to do what you got to do. Tim Parker, he was literally the face of our franchise.
That's what I was going to say next, is there was so much gnashing of teeth when he got traded for Kessler, but it's like, it made the team better, him leaving. It made the team better. And look at where we are now. And like you're saying, like, saying the Berkey, like that hurts just a little bit. But if we can be better off flipping him for someone else, like we have to get at least a better goalie, which I don't know how we do that. But like, if we can do better, fine. You know, St. Louis Cardinals fans thought the world was ending when Pujols left, and we didn't get so much better from him. But like, players move on. Hopefully this team behind me, all this stuff behind me, sticks around for the next 50 years. These players aren't going to be around in 50 years, man. Like, they're not going to be around in 5 years. Like, most of these players will not be here by the time my daughter's in high school. So like, we have to be okay with understanding that these people are not going to be on this team. They're just not going to be on this team.
Speaking of which, 12,000. That was the attendance apparently for the City 2 game. You talk about sticking around. Not only do we sell out the regular team's games, but 12,000? Holy moly. Yeah. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah. And they opened up pretty much the entire lower bowl for that game. We were going to go, but we had so much stuff going on that we couldn't get down there. But like, when we were down there with, like, we were in some of those crowds with 8,000 people, it seems like a lot. I couldn't imagine being around with 12,000 people, and they scored 5 goals today. Like,
are you kidding? I did not see the score yet.
Goals.
Good. Nice.
City. I mean, and like, I saw I think Matt Becher had commented, like, let's let City 2 have the home kits that we have now next year. Get them out of this drab stuff. Let them use the ones that we're retiring, so like it feels more like an actual home game. And
did you see my comment on that?
No, I didn't. What'd you say?
So here's the realistic thing. I'm going to be the bearer of bad news. The problem is I'm sure the team would love that idea. I'm sure, and I guarantee you the team did see Matt Baker's post, but it's not going to be the team's decision. It may not even be MLS's decision. It's going to be Adidas. And the thing is if Adidas, some business suit is sitting up in some high tower, and they'll get posed this question, hey, can City 2 use the uniform? And then he'll ask his assistant, well, is there any chance we could lose money? And the assistant will be like, well, you know, there's a 0.0% chance, 0.01. And Adidas is going to be like, no, sorry, not going to do it.
Well, and I also was thinking, like, MLS really wants that 2 division to almost be a separate division. And they may be wanting to break ties with, like, the 1 team. So they may not want those 2 teams to be identical to those 1 team. So, you know, it may be hard to justify having those same colors. So I kind of like the gray. I wish we could buy those jerseys. They're really cool. I like those gray jerseys that City 2 players wear, but it would be cool to at least maybe revamp their jerseys at least. But I mean, I don't know where I went with that, but like, it would be cool to see, I guess. Or something similar.
MLS did come out and they were kind of talking about moving
Oh yeah,
all the second teams away from the current
yeah.
stadiums. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to expand, maybe move it to like smaller towns. Like, could you imagine City 2 being in Springfield, Illinois, or something?
No.
And they're trying to get like different markets and trying to increase attendance. But I'm sorry for St. Louis. Like, you're not going to move them anywhere else.
Yeah.
And one, you're not going to have the capacity. They're not going to build a
Yeah.
12,000 seat stadium. And we're filling it. So
They're gonna
I think
stick
that's a
these-
dumb idea.
Yeah, they're going to
Dumb
stick these
idea.
guys in a park like most of the two teams play in. But I think when the MLS sees 12,000 people showing up to St. Louis on a Sunday to watch a team play, that's a lot of money coming in. Like, that's a ton of money, and it's pretty unique that our two team gets to play in the home stadium, and it's such a cool family experience, and it's so affordable. Like, in a couple years, let's be honest, in a couple years, these tickets for City are going to be affordable too. This will not continue. This will be a reasonable price soon. But like right now, those two tickets are amazing. It's just like, and you can show up. You can be sitting around your house at 1:00 on a Sunday, be like, "What do you want to go do? Want to go see City 2? All right, fine." And there's tickets available. You have to plan a week in advance to go to a City game right now. And the City 2 is just so cool.
So what did you think, speaking about this game, what did you think about Berkey and Leuven and the little shoving stuff going on? Just for, in case somebody didn't see it, essentially there was some interactions between the two teams, and Berkey sprinted from his 6-yard box all the way to midfield to yell at his players and the other team and just basically count people down. And I believe it was Berkey who shoved Leuven after like a little scrum. Now, I didn't hear anything from the post-game conference about it, like what was said or anything. But how do you feel about that?
What part of I didn't see it either. So what part of what time was this?
Yeah, I think this was near the end of the first, if my memory serves correctly. Long story short, it's basically kind of what I was saying. It's like there was a little bit of scrums kind of going on. Escobar basically was being well, we can insert some choice words, use your imagination, and just like stirring up a lot of crap. And basically Berkey was just yelling at his team, like, don't do something stupid, like don't get a yellow or red card, don't retaliate, something like that. And then somehow it got to a point where Berkey actually kind of pushed Leuven.
You know what?
So
I'm betting it was the captain telling them to get their heads out of there and just play the game instead of being super emotional, because I think I commented to you that it looked like Houston was playing very physical, very dirty-ish towards the end of the first half, towards the end of the game. And I'm betting you that Berkey could see that. And it's kind of like one of those sixth senses where he can see that maybe they're trying to trap us into those emotions, get a dumb yellow or even a red, and potentially mess up the win or the clean sheet, which we didn't want either of those to happen. So it's probably just a captain running up and, getting in the way. Because sometimes, like, you have to be like very direct and very physical to kind of break through someone's when they're in a heightened emotional stance. That's probably what Leuven was in. I don't think I've ever seen Leuven like that, but like I could imagine it was pretty intense, and Berkey had to have sensed that.
yeah, I'm kind of okay with it. Now, to some extent, you don't want to be yelling at people all the time and then just bringing morale down, but I think there's appropriate places for it. Now, the other thing is we're out of the playoffs, but yet Berkey is still yelling at the players, hey, get your head into the game. I basically want to win. I actually kind of love that. Like, he wasn't going to let this team just kind of slide into oblivion. Now, I think soccer is a little different. In a lot of leagues, right, it doesn't matter about like who's at the top of the table. You also don't want to be at the bottom of the table because you always have relegation possible. So maybe there's that mindset too that there's no such thing as a throwaway game because.
Well, and someone like Berkey seems to be and I wonder if this is from his experience playing overseas, where he seems very attuned to the fans. Berkey has said multiple times, like, he wants to do the best, and maybe he was worried about us not doing a good job on our last home game of the season. I got a quote from Berkey. He says, Justin Horniker he posted this and it said, Berkey on the moment of the game. It's sad that we don't have many more of these moments, but then we had a great game. celebrating with the families, with the kids. You can enjoy the whole stadium and the fans. It's just we had not had enough wins this season to actually celebrate with the fans. And this was in response to there's a very now popular video that Berkey was letting the players' kids take shots on him, and he was clowning and letting them score on him. And the fans were there and they were celebrating with everyone. And Berkey does seem like he is very attuned to what, like, doing his best with the fans. And if he thought that they would throw away that game over some stupid emotional stuff, that he probably just wanted to get up there and be like, yeah, no, this ain't us. This ain't us.
I love it. And you know what? The thing is I know we talk about next year, but like next year comes quick and you want to have a great season, and we have the pieces to do it. And we're going to put an asterisk on the head coach. We'll come to that after we talk about Klaus. So speaking of scrums, apparently when Klaus got subbed off, he basically said along these lines to Hack, he said, hey, do you want me to play the 6 or the 9? Because he was definitely frustrated coming off the field, but not that he was being subbed off, but the fact that his positioning wasn't, I guess, where he wanted to be.
Right.
And it leads me to believe that we've talked a lot, and a lot of people complain that Klaus is so far deep, he's playing this false 9. The thing is it really his decision? Or is this all coaching, design, and stuff like this? Are we blaming the wrong person for Klaus not being in the right position? What do you think?
That's kind of how the discussions that you and I have had about what's his role going to be next year. Is it going to be a 9 or kind of like that 6? And if he is genuinely used to playing the 9, and now we've got these other players that can kind of step in, maybe he's not really accepting that, or maybe he's still trying to come to terms with that. I don't know. I think it's finally a good problem to have. Like Klaus, even though we played the 4-4-2, like it looks like you sent me the passing map where it seems like Becher was more of that 9 position for receiving the balls and receiving the kicks than Klaus. And I don't know, maybe Klaus was so used to being that person that the whole team relied on that he still wants to be that. And it's hard to accept that you're not anymore. And you can just be part of the team and you can just be your best, even though he's getting DP money, you can still, your role can change. And maybe his role is changing. And it's interesting that now, 2 games left of the season, he is expressing this frustration now when it's been this way since June or July, essentially. But like, he's just come back 3 games or so ago. So maybe the realization is hitting him that, this is not only his team. I don't know. What do you think? Like, am I off? I'm not really sure. It's kind of hard to process what someone else might be thinking.
Yeah, because the thing is, what we don't know is in the clubhouse, like, what are they talking about? I mean, did they have a discussion? Hey, guys, so our plan is Becher needs to be up top. Klaus, I want you to be more focusing on defending, setting up the press and stuff like that. Like something like that might have been said. Or, hey, Klaus, I want you to be more of a 10, the attacking midfielder / false 9, as opposed to the true striker. Get the ball to Becher and let him do something. Like, we don't know what's being said, and maybe it wasn't jiving with him. I mean, honestly, lineup-wise, I actually kind of liked the dual strikers with Hartl and Schweitzer there, and, Leuven's kind of the number 8 center midfielder, and then the number 6, ideally would be Durkin when he's back. Like, I kind of like that structure. Of course, once you have Celio come out, at that point, you can't have Schweitzer, Hartl, Becher, and Klaus out there, but it does allow some possibility of different rotations, because players do get hurt, unfortunately. Players need some time off. Like you said, this is an amazing problem to have. So if anybody's frustrated about the lineups and your favorite player is not out there or something, honestly, I don't care if your favorite player is out there, because what do we say? I just care about winning.
Right.
It's not about your favorite player. I don't care if somebody's getting tons of money like Klaus. If Klaus isn't the best player and he needs to be on the bench, who cares? Just win. That's the only thing that matters.
So win, baby, win, right? Like Al Davis says, according to Snoop. What if they're in that 4-4-2 and they got that dual striker up front, and then we're looking at the the pass map, and it's definitely not that. Maybe that's what Klaus is frustrated with. Like, this is what we put out there, but to communicate it on the field is you want me to drop back more. And so maybe he was frustrated at that moment, trying to figure out exactly what maybe this was a communication problem. Maybe Hackworth did not communicate well enough to what he wanted his team to do out there.
Okay, good transition. You ready for this? You've been dying to talk about this. Okay, now it is 100% clear now that Hack wants to be the head coach. I mean, he's definitely said that, yes, I want to be this. What do you feel like? Like, let's say you are the top brass. Unfortunately, we're in the beginning part of the European leagues and other leagues, so a lot of coaches are kind of stuck right now. I'm not saying there's not coaches out there, and I'm not saying there won't be coaches fired halfway through the season, but I don't know. What do? Do you stick with Hackworth? I mean, this was a good game, right? Like, you can base everything off of one game, right?
Right.
I'm being sarcastic, obviously.
Like I mentioned to you, I think last night we saw the coronation of Hackworth as our head coach. I say that because he's been part of the system since the origination. What the hell? What is that? What the hell am I trying to say?
You know what you just did?
The origin.
You just did a Thor. You did a Thor.
Oh my God.
You got the ball and you didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So pause. So he's been with the team since we were founded. How about that? Use a 20-cent word instead of a 50-cent word. So he's been with the team since it was founded. He understands the structure of the team. He understands the direction he wants the team to go. He steps in as interim head coach when Carnell was fired. And I was thinking about that today. It's like, what exactly happened? Of course, we don't deserve to know what happened. That's not our team. But like, in the middle of the season, this guy just gets fired. Like, it's so wild to think where was the breakdown? But anyway, so Hackworth steps in as an interim head coach, gets all these new players, has to figure out how to work with them, has a rough slide. Then coming towards the home stretch, he says the right things. We beat Kansas City, beat them pretty solidly. We have some news reports coming out that he really loves being here, and he's a good fit for the team. He comes out earlier this week and he makes statements that he knows the stadium is going to be loud. He can't wait, and it's a passionate thing. Then they come out and they smoke Houston 3. The team is fired up from the get-go. Like, as soon as this game started, it was city possession. I just think that unless a head coach just comes in and says every right thing to take it from him, it's his to lose. Because like I told you earlier, like, if we get someone else with brand new, different direction, brand new everything, and they come in and they just shit the bed, everyone is going to look at the management, look at the owners and say, you had the right guy. It may not be perfect, but you had him. And now you let him go. And now we're back to zero. At least we can hang Hackworth by his own petard if he were to fail next year. We can look at him. The owners can look at them and go, he said he was good. He said he knew what he was doing. And then, like me and Thor, he caught the car. He didn't know what he was doing. He caught the car. But like, I honestly, the way it felt last night, we saw John Hackworth become the official head coach of the team. I don't think it's right. I think we need someone else, but from what I saw, it just kind of felt that way.
Yeah. I think Hackworth, players seem to love him. So that's actually a good thing. He still has their attention. He still has control of the team, despite us being a losing team. That's got to say something. Now, the only thing I don't like is I don't think he has like the supreme tactical sense. And the reason why I'm saying that is I don't think we're seeing enough second half adjustments, intra-game changes, things like that. Like this whole defensive, like, I'm going to go into the slow block for 20 minutes when you're leading by 1 goal. That's right. Your players are going to tire out. The problem is when you kind of park the bus, at some point your players are going to get tired from this constant onslaught, because when the attacking team has the ball, right? Realistically, there's like, 3 players that are really playing hard, and the rest are kind of resting a little bit and moving around. But the defense has to be much more alert. They have to do much more movement. It takes more energy to play defense than offense.
Right.
And eventually they're going to break through. And I just don't like that style that he does. I just don't like it. The other thing is the press. I've noticed a huge drop in the press. Even Matt Baker had mentioned that last game, you could see that the strikers were starting the press, but the rest of the team wasn't following suit. Because when the strikers start the press, the next line has to respond, and then the next line has to respond. That's how the press works. If you don't all press based on what the striker does, guess what happens? You flounder. And we've seen that a lot. That's one thing Bradley Carnell was great at, was instituting that press as compared to Hackworth. So I don't know, like that's going to be a problem. And you could see like our buildup is a lot different too. He has much more of a traditional buildup, in my opinion, which I don't think is actually a bad thing. It's definitely much more of a possession, kind of slower buildup.
Yeah.
I'm kind of okay with that. But I don't know. I just don't see that tactical brilliance yet. Maybe I should give him a little bit of a bye because he inherited this team halfway through the season. Like, he hasn't had a chance to sit down for 2 months, review tape after tape after tape, and say, hey, what should we be doing with this team?
Right.
I mean, do you think it's too early to tell?
I don't, because we don't know also, like, when Carnell was fired, Lutz has said he was going to be the interim head coach for the rest of the season, so they weren't going to move on no matter what. But that's not to say that he was given free reign of the team as well. He may have been told, this is limited things you're going to do. We're not going to get too crazy. This thing didn't work, so we're gonna try some things out. Like, he may not have had the ability to do what he wanted to, and possibly he's got this plan ready to go, and he's showing Lutz, like, you give me the reins, and here's like here's what the team is gonna be for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 seasons. Potentially, that's what's happening behind the scenes. I'm thinking like they just didn't want to give him all that responsibility. I don't know if that's the right term or not, but for an interim, because if he was to move on and then someone else is going to come in, if John Hackworth were to put his entire stamp on this team for half a season, the mentality of the players is all different, and the new coach has to come and change things. So maybe he's got this big magic vault full of tricks and secrets that he's going to be able to open up and shine to the world once he's the head coach that he hasn't been able to yet,
And ultimately, what's going to really make this decision is, how good Hackworth is going to be. Like, I think he's going to be adequate. I don't think he's going to be superior, but that maybe is enough. Maybe. Because you never know. Because if you get a new coach, and even if they're quote unquote good, they can come in with these players and actually not mesh well. Who knows? It's definitely a question mark. So do you go with the safe option, which I think Hackworth is? Like, I think he's a decent coach. Don't get me wrong. But he's a safe option. Or do you gamble? And part of that gamble is what's out there.
Right.
That's the thing that you and I don't really know is we don't know the world out there. We don't know who the candidates are at this point.
I think they gambled with Carnell. I think Carnell was a bit of a gamble because he wasn't a head coach. He was assistant coach. And I think they took a shot, and we saw where it landed us. And I don't think they want to do that again. I think safe is probably easier. Safe will get you into the playoffs. Safe will get fans in the seats into November. I think that's probably what they want. They want to keep packing the stands. Now, the championship, if it happens, that's great, but I think they want playoffs. I think, obviously, we want playoffs. Like, the fans want playoffs. I think the fans at this point would rather have safe. Yeah. Talking about playoffs. Like, I don't want City Park to be empty second week of October. Like, there's no more games at City Park, and that's kind of sad until February. Like, then we can start. Well, I don't know. No MLS. You've got the U.S. men's national teams coming next month, so that's pretty exciting. Yeah. But like, there's no more MLS games. Yeah. Did you see how expensive those tickets are for that game? They're like $60.
Yeah.
Man, I got 60 bucks.
Everybody's complaint with the national games are always, not just here, but everywhere in the country, is that they're ridiculously expensive. And the problem is they seem like they would rather have ridiculously expensive tickets than to sell out these stadiums.
Really?
This is just something that the national team does that just blows everybody's mind. Like, why wouldn't you want to sell out the thing? Because the other thing is you want to sell it out, even if it means selling cheap tickets, because now people say, national game, hey, I guess we can go. Let's bring the whole family. It's like $15 a ticket. Let's all go. But when it's $60, you're not going to bring your 5-year-old kid. Like, come on. Unless you're super rich, like Steve.
Yeah, is there another Steve you know? Because I don't know if you know this or not. I'm in my basement recording
Your mom's
this shit.
basement? What?
I'm in my mom's basement recording this shit, you know, in the same place I do. I'm going to work out tomorrow morning. Like, come on. $60. Let's do better. Make it like, I don't know, 20. Yeah. For the C squad anyway, probably too.
True that. All right, Steve, any last thoughts before we shove off for the evening?
You know what? I want to do like a quick go or no go with you. I saw some guy with a really hot take about the team. Let me just back this up here. This is good radio. Everyone wants to hear this. Oh my God. I'm like a boomer. All right. So this is a really hot take on the St. Louis City Facebook page. I don't have the guy's name.
No, geez, Facebook, you know it's going to be a hot take.
Yep.
A little spicy.
Let's see. I can't watch Klaus anymore. I hope we get a different DP. Like we only have one. He's built his role into doing absolutely everything but finishing. I like how he works to get camera time, giving Becher advice right after Becher's goals. I'm not done yet. It's hard to watch Hartle too. Yep, here it is. Okay, it's hard to watch Hartle too. He does some light jogging, gets body like a little kid from every 50-50 ball, or even if he has possession. Then he makes one really great pass to Becher, and it's like, okay, I can't totally dislike him. I hope Lubin stays. He's taking a more background role, but he's still effective and generally makes good choices. But
holy crap. Okay, no goal.
Go or no goal. Those are really good takes.
Yeah, no goal. I mean, come on. Like, first of all, not every player is going to be physical. Like, every player has different strengths and weaknesses, right? Like, Klaus is a very physical guy. Not everybody's going to be more physical, right? That's the whole point about average, below average, and above average, right? Like, approximately 50% have to be above average. Approximately 50% have to be below average.
Right.
By the way, math geeks, I know the difference between the mean and the median. So that's why I said approximately. So anyways, we can do percentile if it makes you feel better. But anyways, so the thing is, not everybody's going to be above average. Who cares? Like, Hartle is easily our best outfielder. I'm sorry, he just is. Choicher is scoring a lot of goals. I get that. But when you look at the actual contribution, I would argue that Hartle might be our best outfielder. So yeah. I think that's the dumbest take I've ever heard. Well, maybe not the dumbest.
I mean, there's been a lot this season, but yeah, at least in the last 2 minutes.
Klaus, okay. You know, the thing is we kind of talked about this earlier, is that is it him or is it the coaching utilization of Klaus that we don't like? So, guys, we got to put a little bit more thought into this. We can't just say, yeah, we hate what Klaus is doing. He might not be allowed to put himself in a position to where he's, like, maybe he's told, hey, I want you in a playmaking role, which is why we saw in the last couple of games, oftentimes his back is to the goal, and he's basically bouncing passes off to somebody else to score. Maybe that's what he's being told to do. Who knows?
I don't know if nobody has seen his ball possession skills right now. I don't know what the hell they're looking at, because he was the reason why we scored one or two of the goals. Maybe not in this game, but the game against Kansas City. Like, his ball possession is out of this world. It's so good that now all of a sudden we're trying to say that Klaus is a bum. Like, yes, maybe just slow down. Maybe just like check before you hit send and like just kind of think. All right, one more. The ref reports that I do. the Pinso, she called a pretty good match, right? Like I had some people online saying like she called a pretty good match. Like
100%.
I had seen that she seems to call a pretty even match, a pretty fair match. And I think it kind of planned out. So like guys, when you look at those ref reports, this is why I do those, because we need to know going into the game what kind of game they're gonna call. And this Pinso, she called. I showed AJ. She's called 5 of the Women's World Cup matches this season, and she's called 7 MLS. And she's had 26 yellow cards in the MLS games before our game, and she only had handed out like 6 total in all those World Cup games. So like clearly the MLS is much more physical, and she's used to seeing that. And I looked at her yellows on each side, and she's pretty much heavy-handed, but she knows what she's doing. And it seems like she really did call a fair match. So like definitely check those ref reports out, because it is a way for us to be able to communicate, hey fans, here's what you should be looking out for. And I think they're a pretty good addition to what we do.
Yeah, definitely goal on that. By the way, Escobar getting a red card, and I was excited. Goal or no goal?
100% a goal. I wish it could have been this Guerra guy, but yeah, I was so, and like as soon as he got it, he knew. I was in the car whenever he did that, and our guys were like, he knew immediately. He just kind of waved his hand and hopped off the field. So
yeah, that dude was causing a lot of trouble. He was a little punk.
Yep.
Anyways, all right, Steve. Well, I think it's time to go. You want to hit our socials, and it sounds like some people were visiting the website.
Yeah.
Maybe downloading some of the backgrounds, which we'll continue to do even during the off season every month.
Yeah. By the way, so we do have a website. You can just Google BRB Fancast, and when you Google that, it'll come up. It's a Weebly site. So, but if you want to, you can do brbfancast.weebly.com. We are on Weebly, Weebly. So nice. I'm telling you, just Google or Yahoo or Bing. Bing. Who uses Bing anymore? I had to use this when I had my Windows phone.
What's Yahoo?
Yeah. But anyway, so just put in BRB Fancast on the search engine, and I've done it recently, and it'll pop up. So on that website, we have links to our shows, we have our bios, we have AJ creates these pretty awesome wallpapers each month for the schedules. We have those posted up there. I also do post our ref series so you can see, because next year when we play as well, we'll see some of these refs again. So now we can go back and we can see how were they last season and how are they doing this season. So we got some history with these refs. We're on BRB Fancast on Twitter, X. We're on Facebook as Steve and AJ BRB Fancast. I'm up there as May Zipper as well. And, we're on Instagram. We don't use that much, but we'll get better. So you'll see us out there. You see our handiwork out there. You see our polls. You see our ref series. You see our comments. We're on Reddit as well. So get out there and check us out, guys. And we look forward to meeting you. So if you ever want to come on, reach out to us. We'll have you on. We record, and we'll put you in there if you want. We just want to hear from you guys too.
And we're definitely going to continue during the off season as well. If there's any news, we'll of course cover that and give our thoughts. And the other thing is everybody loves like things like tier list. And one thing that I'm actually kind of excited about talking about too is like asking Steve, with the expansion draft coming up, who would you protect? Because I think we get to protect like 13 or 14. I'll have to look at the numbers. Plus the homegrowns are automatic. Yep. So that's going to be a really fun conversation, because you're going to be looking at people like, Indy, possibly Celio, Durkin, Lunt, and stuff like that. Like, it's going to be really, really interesting to see who we should and shouldn't protect. So the best thing too is, if any of you guys have opinions and you want to join us, even for, 10 minutes, especially when we do these tier list and things on the off season, more the merrier, because I think it would be really fun to have like a group discussion on this.
Hell yeah.
And maybe we can pull off a live thing if we can get enough people.
That'd be awesome, man.
Yeah, because I would love to have an argument, because this is something that would fire people up, especially when we talk about the expansion draft no pick list. Woo.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome next year when San Diego's now playing, and we're going to go out there. They're going to come here. It's going to be wild next year, man. I can't wait.
We'll get to visit Yara probably.
Yeah. Oh, poor little guy. All right.
I know. Okay. Well, guys, it's been been a pleasure talking with you guys. We'll see you guys next time. I think the next game is
16th. Is it
late-
6?
2 weeks from now,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, we got some
Holy
time.
moly. So, we'll catch you guys next time. Till then.
All right. All for the city.